All right, my dudes, this is 344 reverse string. So this is clearly the first time I'm doing this. This is clearly the first time I'm doing this problem, so this is completely off the dome. So write a function that reverses a string. The input string is given as an array of characters, char, list. Do not allocate extra space for another array. You must do this by modifying the input array in place with O1 or constant time or constant extra memory. We assume all characters consist of printable characters. Oops. So do not return anything, modify s in place. Instead, we're getting a list here. So input example, they have hello. It comes out O-L-L-E-H, reverse. That's pretty cool, right? So beep this out. We have the intuition here immediately when you have to reverse something. It's always useful is the two-pointer method. So pretty much, it's a string and we're using Python. So I'm not literally going to be using pointers here, but the idea is that you have two sequential methods of iterating through some kind of structure. They're at two different parts, and then you use them and increment or decrement, however you use to move them, somehow meeting somewhere in the middle or somewhere at the end, or doing some form of combination of those. There's a bunch of different ways you can use two-pointer. It's a really versatile method. So we're going to use the two-pointer method here. We're going to start at one end of the string, the for beginning. We're going to start at the other end, the end of the string, so H and O. And then we're going to swap them, move them closer, swap them, move them closer. You might be thinking, well, how do we know when we're done? Well, that depends if the number of elements in the string is odd or even. If the number of elements in the string is odd, so if we have, let's say, star here as the input element, if we start at the end here, S, we swap S and R, okay? We swap S and R. Then we get to here. We swap A and T. Well, they pass each other, right? So the number is reversed, so how do we know when to stop? So one easy way to stop is when, since they start smaller than one another, once that comparison switches, so once start is greater than the end, or we can only run the list while start is less than end. And we'll stop immediately once that's not the case. Now, if you had a number like, if you had a string like stars, you wonder, hey, well, how do we know when we're done? Well, if you swap all of these just like before, S and S is the same, R and T, you realize that if you're swapping them one by one, you get to the middle, they're both the same. So if our condition is only while start is less than end, then you still actually account for that here. So you actually stop on time anyway. So we're going to implement that here. So boom, boom. We're going to do this with a while loop. So start is going to be equal to 0. End is going to be equal to the length of the list minus 1, because the capacity, the last element in the list is always capacity minus 1. And then we're only going to run this loop while start is less than end. And so inside the while loop, this is where the actually reverse the elements. I'm sure there's some swap thing you can do in Python. I don't know. I don't use this language. We're just going to do it C++ style. We're going to store the first number. We're going to store the first letter, S sub start. Then we're going to replace S sub start is equal to S sub end. And then, since we saved start earlier in temp, we're going to do S sub end equals temp. Boom. Once that's done, we should be able to return S. And then this should be, this is the first time I'm doing this problem, by the way. Actually true. This should be the correct solution, if I remember correctly. Start is less than end, but yeah, the two-pointer method is extremely versatile. My previous code was restored. That's not true. Time limit exceeded. Oh my god, I'm sorry. And so, oops, okay. So, two-pointer method using a while loop, we actually have to increment the variables. So start is starting from the front, we're going to move forward once. Start is going to be to start plus 1. Oops. And then end is working from the backwards towards the front end, so end is going to be equal to end minus 1. That is my bad. But this should be good. I was wondering why it was taking so long, but this should be good. 1 in 20 milliseconds, close enough. But yeah, starting method is really useful. We're not really using pointers here, but whenever you have a linked list or some structure or anything else you want to reverse, two-pointer method usually works wonders here. But that is, what is this? 344 reverse string.